Hello! Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello, welcome along. My name's Nikki. Today, as you will know from the title, I'm going to be filming a tattoo tour. Normally on YouTube, I make spooky history videos and that sort of thing, so tattoo tours haven't really been on my radar, but a few people have been asking, and I don't want to be that YouTuber that's like, everybody's been asking. Because not loads of you have, but some of you have. And I know a few of you just kind of want to see them a bit more close up, or just want to know what I've got on me and why I've got it, who did it, when I got it, costs, etc, etc. So I just thought I'd go through them and kind of tell you a bit about them. Now, I don't know if we'll make it all the way through, because I have got a lot of tattoos. I've been getting tattooed for 16 years now. Over that time, I've amassed quite the collection. So without further ado, I guess let's start. So I'm not really sure the best way to kind of do this, but I guess probably going in chronological order is going to make the most sense. And for those of you that haven't got your thesauruses with you today, that means from my first tattoo to my last tattoo. I thought we'd go through piece by piece and I would let you know who the artist was, if I can remember who the artist was, because I don't remember all of them. Some of these were very small, I wasn't drunk, I promise. And let you know whether that tattoo is still tattooing today or not, because some of them are, some of them aren't. And then just like the personal side of why I decided to get it done. The bin men are here now as well, so they're going to be also making an appearance in this video. But whilst the bin men are collecting the rubbish from outside, I'm going to put... Ah no, I've just dropped moisturiser all down my leg. I am going to moisturise my tattoos because there's nothing like looking at a crusty, dusty, busted tattoo on the internet in somebody's tattoo tour, is there? And today I shall be using Brazilian Bum Bum Cream because it's the best smelling thing that's out there. You'd think that something that's called Bum Bum Cream wouldn't smell that nice, but I can assure you, it smells delightful. So to show you some of these tattoos, some of them are going to be like super duper easy for me to film and to show you on camera, like my arms and stuff. When it comes to like filming your own legs, that's very hard. So I'm going to get my boyfriend to do that, or I'll just take a picture and put a picture up on the screen. That's probably the best thing to do, isn't it? I don't know, I'll work it out in the edit somehow. Okay, so I think we're now fully lubed up, so I think we're probably good to get started. Now, as I said, I've been getting tattooed since I was 19, which is when I started, so I was above age, unlike a lot of you out there, which I know were definitely underage when you started getting tattooed. I probably would have started getting tattooed younger if I could have afforded it, but I really couldn't. When I was 19, I kind of had my first proper job and I was able to save some money to start getting tattooed. And I knew that I always wanted to get relatively well covered. And I knew that from sort of a youngish age, really, that I always wanted to get tattoos, even if I just ended up with like a couple of big ones. She says, holding her hands in front of her chest. Didn't have to save up for those, if you know what I mean. Those were a gift from Jesus. I did know that I was always going to get quite a few tattoos. I think sometimes when people say to people that are quite heavily tattooed, "You'll regret those when you're older," I kind of knew that I always wanted to have them, and I knew that growing older with your tattoos was part of it. And now I'm not ancient, but I'm older and I still love every single one of them. Well, apart from one, but I'll tell you about that when we get there. Now, a couple of disclaimers. All of these tattoos, apart from one, were done at proper shops. I don't believe in getting your mates to tattoo you, unless your mates are tattooers. I believe that tattoos should all be done above board. And to get a tattoo, it does come at a price as well. You have to be able to afford a decent tattoo artist. You need to know exactly what you want. And some of my tattoos have been completely off the bat. I have just walked into a studio and just gone and got something on the day. But what I'm trying to say is everybody's tattoo process is different. I believe in going to proper studios. I don't believe in home tattooing, even though I have one home tattoo. But I'll explain why I've got that, and also why I probably wouldn't do it again. But this is just my own process, so yeah, if you've got any opinions about that, it's personal to me. So you're welcome to make a comment about that, but don't expect it to be well received. Everyone's different, and how I get my tattoos might not be how you get your tattoos, so I know it can be a little bit of a touchy subject. The artists that have done my tattoos, unless I say that I'm friends with them, I'm not friends with them, just a client relationship. And I don't think anybody that I've been tattooed by is problematic. But if it later turns out that they are, then I've not been keeping up to date with that. So that just tells you what my relationship is with some of these tattoo artists. Some of them I've never seen again once I've been tattooed by them. So don't hold me accountable for anybody else's actions just in case they turn out to be not great people. I think everybody on this list is probably great people though. Anyway, enough rambling because I'm already at 20 minutes and we haven't even started yet. So let's get into this video. So my first ever tattoo I got when I was 19 years old, and I got it done in the town that I lived in at the time, which was Portsmouth. Well, I lived on Hayling Island, but nobody ever knows where Hayling Island is. If you do, then pop it in the comments. But the biggest town next door to Hayling Island is Portsmouth. And in Portsmouth, there's a couple of really good reputable tattoo studios. Some of them are a little dodgy. There's a lot now that I don't know anything about because I've not lived in Portsmouth for, well, like a long time, well over 10 years. So don't be telling me that so-and-so is better, because I'm not going back to Portsmouth anytime soon, particularly with the pandemic on. So my first ever tattoo, I slaved, worried, and kind of just spent months on months, probably like a whole year. That's probably why I didn't start getting tattooed until I was 19, because I probably spent a whole year thinking about what I wanted to get. And I am so glad that the tattoo artist who was at Tribal Edge, whose name is, I want to say Nick, I'm going to have to Google it. Okay, so it tells you how much of a, like, just normal sort of, like, old school street shop this is, because it doesn't even have a website. But I can tell you now, it's really reputable in Portsmouth, and it's been there, like, years, absolute donkey's years. I'll put in a picture of the outside of it, because the outside of it's always been really cool. And they just do, like, good, standard, solid looking tattoos. Would I choose to go and get more tattoos there? Probably not now, because it's not really my style anymore. But for my first tattoo, I just wanted a tattoo, and they did tattoos, and they did good tattoos. So I wasn't going for anything stylized. I wanted a picture of a shark. That was my plan. And me and my best friend Alice, who you will have seen if you watch this channel a couple of videos ago in a vlog that I did from like 2017. So Alice and I have been best friends for a long time. We went to college together, and it was when we were at college together that we decided to go and get our tattoos. And it was mainly for moral support. We didn't get matching tattoos or anything, but we both knew that we wanted to get them, so we thought going together was a good thing. And I'm really glad that we did. We even made a playlist for the day, took in our own little CD and gave it to the guys that were working there, and they were like, what? This is not what you do in a tattoo shop. I'm very pleased now that I learnt from my first experience, that is not what you do in a tattoo shop. You don't own the tattoo shop, so you don't get to choose what goes on the playlist. Mind you, some tattoo shops will let you choose what you want to listen to, but we still have that tattoo playlist CD, and when we do get a chance to meet up with each other, then we tend to end up listening to it, and yeah, it brings back the memories of the day, and then being like, what are you two on, bringing in your own CD to get tattooed to? And I remember saying to them that we had a CD that we wanted to play, and they were like, what, of your own music? No, not a band. This is just songs that we want to listen to. Anyway, as an aside, so I went in and got my shark tattooed. Now, as a first tattoo, this is a pretty ambitious thing to do, to get tattooed in the location that I did. So it's on my back. I'm going to see if I can show you now, but I might just have to put in a picture here. Now, for a first tattoo, I wouldn't recommend getting your side tattooed, and particularly just above your kidney. It's not really a very smart idea. But at the time, like, stamp tramps were all the rage. That is exactly where everybody got tattooed. They all got tattooed on their lower back. And I decided I didn't want a tramp stamp at all. I wanted to have mine slightly different, not so central in a location at the back, and I wanted to have it more as a decoration piece and something that I could build on if I wanted to. When I was doing my research for my first tattoo, everything that I saw said make sure that you get something you can build upon, and I bought like hundreds of magazines and read through loads of pages about like what to do before I even committed to like even thinking of what I wanted to get. Well, I knew I always wanted a shark, but I knew it had to be something that I could build on if I wanted to. Have I ever built upon it? No, I haven't. So would I decide to get it in a different place now? No, I kind of like where it is. And also when I tell people that's my first ever tattoo, they're like,
ooh, you went hard to begin with.
Now, the type of shark this is a lemon shark. I wanted specifically to have that type of shark because it's like a really sharky looking shark.
Only you can appreciate the genius that is you. And everybody has a genius in themselves.
If that makes sense. I didn't want like a gruesome kind of looking great white, even though I love great whites. I didn't want that on my body, but I wanted a cool shark.
Sharks are really, really cool.
You can see how much thought went into this now. And originally when I went in, I said to him that I wanted stars around it. And he was like,
no, you're not having stars around it.
And I kind of showed him this sort of little sketch thing that I'd done, which, don't do that. Your tattooist is the artist in this situation, not you. And so he kind of laughed at my little design and sort of went, okay.
We'll give you a tattoo that's decent.
And I'm really pleased that he did that, because if I'd walked out with like kind of thing with sort of tribally looking stars around it, I would not be liking my tattoo. Whereas now I really like it, and it's held up okay. It's faded a bit. All tattoos are going to fade over time, but to be honest, it's a good blue solid tattoo. And you've still got like the lovely little light rays coming through the water. And I just think he did a really good job of it, and I'm really pleased with it. And I remember being so excited after I got it, and just like them being like, oh, I need to wear lots of tops now that show off my tattoo. So I'd like just cut all my t-shirts off so I could show my tattoo. But I still absolutely adore it, and would I change it at all? No. So if you're looking for like advice on like your first tattoo, and you might be scouring the internet for different tattoo tours, and I would really recommend getting something that's like, for me, I grew up absolutely adoring sharks, so a shark was a really logical choice for me. And it's kind of timeless as well, so like sharks aren't ever going to go out of fashion. Sharks are always going to be cool. They've been around for millions more years than we have, so vive le shark. I need to get vive le shark on a t-shirt, don't I? Okay, after that long rambling response for just one tattoo, I guess we go on to tattoo number 2. Now I have to remember what this was. Pretty sure that my next tattoos were the ones that are on my shoulders. So this is still in Portsmouth. I was going out with a guy who was really heavily tattooed, and we only went out for a really short amount of time, but he was like in the process of kind of getting a whole bodysuit done. And so during this time, he introduced me to a few other tattooers in Portsmouth, and one of those was Emma, who works at Lady Luck. Now, Emma's really lovely. She'd been tattooing for quite a while by the time I started getting tattooed by her, and she doesn't look like she's been tattooing for that long, because she is like forever and eternally young and stunning. And because this guy I was going out with was good friends with her, we used to go down the pub together, so we started getting chatting, and I ended up just booking in with her. So again, for these, I'm going to try and show you some of them, but I might just put pictures up. But I basically kind of wanted sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like little kind of stickers on the tops of my shoulder blades, the tops of my shoulders, whatever you call this bit. And they are basically just like little kind of things that I thought were really cool. Now, these have faded quite badly, and I think that's because they're probably on the top of my shoulders, so they're going to be the ones that get the sun the most. Some cherries here. All of these need topping up, and I need to just like book in with Emma and go and get them done again at some point. I've got a little skull butterfly here. Interesting story about that one. Me and my then other half, this is how short a time that we went out with each other, but he stole this idea. So I showed him before we broke up. So I said, this is what I want to get, and he was like,
oh, that's really cool.
And so I took it in, and then he stole the design, and I can't remember where he found it from. I think maybe he just like printed out a picture and took it in, but he booked in for 3 days before me and got that tattoo done after we'd broken up. Okay. And I don't know why he did that. So me and my ex have a matching tattoo, and I didn't want a matching tattoo. The day of my appointment, I found out that he'd had it done, but I still wanted it. So I didn't want a matching tattoo with him, but I got it because I wanted that tattoo, and he'd already nicked it from me. So the damage was kind of done. But you know, this is kind of a flash piece. So there's probably a few other people out there that might have this. So you might be one of those people. So if you've got it, let me know. It's obviously very badly faded now. And this one is a swallow that's inside the star there that you might be able to see, sort of. It's not like a full swallow, but it's just kind of like the inside. And then this side, I've not actually ended up finishing it. I'm still missing one. So at some point when this pandemic is all over, I will probably go back in and get these done, get my last one put on. I don't know if it would fit now, actually. Maybe sort of like, I probably could still have one up to my neck, I guess. So I've got some flaming dice there, because at the time that was like all the rage, and flaming dice were a big thing. And then I've got like this little sugar skull inside the star as well. Or maybe this one is the one that he copied. Or maybe it was both. I can't remember. Anyway, I've got matching tattoos with somebody. No, I think it was that one. See, this is how bad my memory is when it comes to tattoos. Just get them on me and then I'll forget about them. After that, I moved away from Portsmouth and I started living in Bristol. And in Bristol, there's kind of, I think it's better now, but there was very limited tattooing happening in Bristol. Like, Bristol's meant to be this big scene, but the actual tattoo shops there at the time were okay. And I have got some good work from there. And there was one artist that I did really like, so I did get quite a few pieces from him. But some of them, not so great. So the next piece I got done was this one here. So I kind of like, you can sort of tell that I started from my back and then decided to work up onto the top of my shoulders and then was going to work all the way down my sleeve. And that's sort of kind of how I sort of did it. I worked from the top down, and that's something that you shouldn't do with tattooing. If you're going to get a sleeve, you need to work from the bottom up, because then you know what you're working with. But at the time, I didn't know I was going to get a full sleeve. This was very much like I just kind of wanted big stickery pieces, and that was sort of the direction I was going in. So now some of these pieces are going to blur into one because I don't remember getting all of these individually on my sleeve, but I remember kind of the general time frame of things. So I think this was tattoo number 3, and I was big into the band Lit then. I kind of still am, but their political views have changed now, and I'm not down with that. And they're sort of making a bit of a comeback now, actually, but they're kind of gone country, and that's not really my thing. So I wanted to get like a sort of old school rockabilly kind of like classic tattoo, and I wanted a big one on the top of my shoulder. And this didn't work out. I like this tattoo, but if I had a chance to get rid of, I said at the beginning that there's like only one tattoo that I don't like. This is probably the second tattoo that if I could change it, I would. Like, not much, I don't think. I'd probably just change the artist and get somebody else to do it, because I just don't think it's executed in the way that I wanted it to be done. And I think the guy that did it just didn't get what I was going for. He's not really a traditional tattooer. Yeah, I was just told by everyone else that
this is the guy to go to.
He's really great.
And we just didn't have a great connection. We didn't get on well. He also messed up my tattoo and then tried to blame it on me, which is a bit of an interesting one. Yeah, I've never really sort of told this story publicly before, but I guess now is the time. So I'm not going to name names on this one because I don't want to slander anybody, and I think this is kind of 6 to 1 and half a dozen to the other. Like, we just didn't get on. There was no real reason why we didn't get on. We just didn't click as people, and I should have known that from the consultation process. Like, I don't know, just something about that studio, just didn't really like it. So this guy has his own studio, and yeah, as I said, I've been told that he was great and that I should go to him. So I did, and I booked in, told him what I wanted. He said, yeah, I can definitely do that. So I was like, great, okay, here's my deposit, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And so I drew out the design and took it in.
Okay, yeah, great, I'll just copy that straight away and then just put that up on there for you.
And I was a bit like, you should be drawing your own design. This is not idea of what I want. Like, I want you to actually draw it. I was on my own. I didn't take anybody with me. I don't think it's the same now, but if you're going to a studio and you are slightly nervous, you've not been there before. And this one, I must say as well, it's not a street studio, so it's not just like a walk-in. So it is on a high street, but it's not like a just walk in and get tattooed. They don't do walk-ins as far as I know, or at least they didn't back then. I would always say take somebody with you because, like, you know, you never really know what you're getting yourself into. And I didn't feel like the place was dangerous. I wasn't threatened. There was no problems, but I just felt uncomfortable, and I should have been able to turn around and say, actually, I don't think I should get tattooed. But, you know, I was silly for doing it. Sometimes you don't learn stuff like that until you get a bit older, do you? But yeah, if you walk into a place and you feel uncomfortable, just turn around and say, come back another time, or, you know, keep my deposit. But don't get tattooed in a place that you don't feel comfortable in. So anyway, back to the actual tattoo day. So I go in and I show him the design. He walks up and just says, yeah, I'm going to copy it and just put it straight on your arm. For this design, what I had done is I'd put the lyric on my drawing, and they are, I love the things that we should fear. Now, to make sure that these fitted into the right place, I put I love the things that we should fear, because I wanted them to stretch out around nicely. And so he just copied that verbatim, put it straight on my arm. I looked in the mirror. Now this is a bit where it is sort of my fault, and I should have like really checked it. Always check your stencils and always check your spelling. This is like my 3rd ever tattoo, so I was still nervous about getting tattooed back then, and I still do get nervous, so things haven't changed. But always check your lettering and your spelling, and always make sure that it's done right, and always get somebody else that isn't your tattooer in the studio to check your spelling as well, or to check their spelling as it may be, and also the placement too. And any good studios that I've been in, they have always called over another artist that works there and got them to check before they start tattooing to say, do you think this looks cool? And they always get a second opinion from another artist before they begin. That for me just raises the bar and just shows to your client that you are taking things so seriously that you think that somebody else's opinion is needed to make sure that the tattoo that you're about to execute is done well. So anyway, I keep going off track. Promise I will get through this as quickly as possible. So long story short, he puts the stencil on me, he tattoos everything, it's all fine. And we had like hardly any conversation whilst I was getting tattooed as well. And I was really trying because like I like to have a chat whilst I'm getting tattooed because otherwise it's just horrible. You're in pain and then having to sit there in silence. No thank you. I'd rather have a chat with my tattooer. And I get it, not all tattooers are chatters, but you know, I like to have a little bit of a chat whilst I'm getting tattooed. So I jump up and I go and have a look and I say to him, "Oh, you've written 'the' 3 times on the top of my arm." And he's like,
"Yeah, that's what you wanted."
No, it wasn't. And I remember at first standing in front of the mirror and going, I can see that there's 3 the's in there. Shall I say anything or shall I just walk out and pretend this is okay? And I remember thinking, no, I'm gonna have to say something. So I said to him, there's 3 the's on the top of this. And he's like,
"But that's what you wanted."
I said, no, it's not. And he said,
It was on your stencil.
That wasn't my stencil, that was my drawing. And I just brought it in for you and that was the spacing. And I'm sorry that I didn't make that clear to you, but I thought that would have been pretty obvious. So it was just miscommunication all round. So he said to me,
I can cover those up.
So I now have these 2 black skulls on there, and I'll tell you why they've got dots in them soon, to cover up the 2 extra the's. So there you go. The rest of it's okay. He also missed out the that as well. So he had to put the that here. So now it has to read there, and under there. So yeah, not perfect. And it's just like the skull in the middle is not placed correctly. Like all of this is just not very well done. And I just wouldn't go back to this guy, like ever again. And I know other people that have been tattooed by him and they've been not my style of tattoos.
Girl, the shade of it all.
But people that are very happy with his work, but I'm not. And sometimes you just have to make a little mistake to know that that's not correct for you. And the reason I have little dots in the skulls is because I hated these skulls for so long. And then I learned about like dermal piercings and I thought, it would be really cool to get some little eyes in these guys. And so the piercer that worked at another tattoo shop that I went to in Bristol, like dermals at the time were pretty new. So, you know, we're talking sort of like about 14, 15 years ago now. I said to him, do you think you could do something with this? And he was like, yeah, definitely can. And he's a fantastic piercer and he did really well. The dermals didn't last because dermals don't last. And actually in the end, I ended up having to have one of them cut out without anaesthetic, which is something that you can't do nowadays because it's now illegal to do that because of a stupid court case that happened against a piercer called McCarthy. He used to do some really like quite intense body mods, but they were all consenting, and somebody took issue with this, not the person that had it done to them because they were perfectly consenting, but somebody found out about it and then decided that he was basically carrying out just unregulated medical procedures. Having met Mac a few times from going to conventions and things, like, yeah, that's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's by the by. I'll leave a link to that news story so you can learn about it if you're interested in that. But it's the reason why things like that can't be done by non-medical professionals now, even though I probably wouldn't trust non-piercer to cut out a dermal because they probably wouldn't do it in the right way. They wouldn't know where it was anchored. But yeah, so that's that. And getting those dermals was quite an experience because I had all 4 done in one go, which was pretty tough, and I do remember feeling quite faint after getting them done, but I absolutely loved them, apart from the fact that they used to keep on ripping out, particularly when I got a job where I used to have to wear scrubs every day, and on the insides of scrubs they have like these little threads where the seams are all joined together, and the amount of times I ripped my dermals with those little threads that were on scrubs, too many to count.